to the M2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Ante. My co-host over here, Kyle Heath, JK Heath, Mr. Heath. What's up, brother? This is a show where we basically cover esports personalities, gaming industry-related news, new and upcoming games, technology innovation for the last week. So thank you very much for tuning in. We got some big news for you. But before, let's hit the updates. What have you been up to, Kyle?
Oh, baby. I played some games this weekend, Mike. Tell you.
Oh, finally. What'd you play?
Well, I played more BattleBit. That was one. Playing a little more of
Nice.
that. I've been enjoying it. Not gonna lie.
I-
I haven't got into the gun progression deeply yet.
Okay.
Which is what I
Yeah.
want. It's like what I want to do next. I've kind of just been like trying to just get a feel for the game and just play it out. But I'm at the point now where I'm like, all right, I want to stop optimizing my kits and kind of try and see if I can
Yeah.
squeeze the most out of my what I got. So I'll be doing that hopefully soon. But yeah, other than that, I was playing some Minecraft, a little bit of modded Minecraft,
Okay.
a little bit of vanilla with with the boys with the friend group. So that was fun diving back into Minecraft. I will say, playing vanilla Minecraft, I haven't played it in quite some time. So there's been a lot of updates since the last time I played, and I was like just like running around, like seeing like different stuff, whether it's like bees or like the different fish or like stuff like that. I think it's very much different for me, so it's kind of like a new experience almost going in and playing. But yeah, I don't know, just like having just like hopping on with some friends, especially people who haven't really played Minecraft before. It's fun to kind of see them kind of learn the basics and whatnot. So got to play around with that. I mean, as far as the modded Minecraft, it was like I hopped in, like some of my buddies, they'll every now and again they'll just start up a modded server on like some sort of mod pack. And the one I recently checked out was a really interesting one. I think it's like Astral Create or something like that. But essentially, it's kind of the idea is there's like it's got a whole like technology tree where you can essentially automate like everything in the game, whether it's like growing and cutting trees to like stone generators or like copper generators. It's really interesting. So I was seeing what they were kind of doing there, and it's so weird because like sections of Minecraft too, they have like especially in these mod packs, sometimes they'll have like actual like storage computers. So, like instead of like a chest, it's an actual like index, and there's like hard drives you can store your items into, so you can have like these really big chests essentially. That's like all on like a database kind of thing. Really cool seeing that. It's weird seeing a server in Minecraft, but yeah, some of these mod packs have it, so it's cool seeing stuff like that. I think in this one you could like go to Mars, like you can actually go to different planets. And stuff. It's kind of wild.
That's so sick.
Yeah. So, dude, some of these mod packs are very in depth, and it's like I don't even want to know how much time it took for either the one person that made it or the team that made it to actually like kind of make it happen. But it's impressive, man, and it's very overwhelming if you're not careful. So, luckily, if you join some of these, sometimes they'll have like a progression tree or like a guidebook to kind of guide you down a certain path. So if you want to like learn, some of these will include cooking. So if you want to learn the different like cooking elements of a mod pack or like the different science elements, you can kind of follow a path and learn. But it's a lot. It's a huge time commitment if you want to like really make a solid server. So I don't delve too much in it, but it's cool to just kind of hop in and see what the boys are doing. So that was kind of a part of that. But I don't know. Other than that, I don't think I played much else this week. It was kind of just like some multiplayer stuff. Kind of just trying to just wanted to get some gaming in at the very least, so
yeah, I can relate to that 100%. It's kind of cool that you're back into Minecraft. I mean, that's one of the oldest games. It feels like the oldest, but also like a major front runner and most popular.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the fact that I can
cool.
still jump in and have fun. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those games that's like timeless for me. So I feel like I can hop in at any point. It's just I can have fun regardless of what's going on. So yeah, I don't know, Mike. Do you have any timeless moments this week in the game?
Timeless? I don't know about timeless. I mean, there's a couple of things that happened with me for gaming. Outside of gaming, real quick, just watching Netflix and stuff like YouTube. But with gaming, it's been still playing a little bit of Halo 2, Halo 3, stuff like that. Trying to play like a little bit more competitive stuff. Rocket League, I got back on. I hadn't played that in a while. Got ranked. It was pretty fun to do that. I also play BattleBit. So this is how I play BattleBit, right? So like I told you I downloaded, hadn't played it, right?
Right.
Everybody kept hyping up Halo Infinite, and I'm like, all right, let's go check it out, right? So I tried to get back into it. I literally got in the first game. It like kept tabbing me out of the game, and then it eventually crashed on me. And I was like, that's a sign that I'm not coming back. So I was like, I'm out. And then I was like, dude, I want to play something though. So what do I play? I'm like, let's load up BattleBit. BattleBit 128 versus 128. And I think I played it for like 2, maybe 3 hours. It was a lot of fun, man. I only have like a few complaints, and it's about just the normal Battlefield type of experience where even Call of Duty has this issue where when you first start the game and everybody's already been playing, they have better weapons, better gear, better everything,
Yeah.
and they're overall just used to the game, so they automatically have a huge advantage over you. So there were moments where I'm like, I'm definitely getting headshots. I couldn't really like take kids like take my opponents out, and it got frustrating. But overall, it was like so cool, so much fun. And it was like so many different experiences. And I need to start playing with friends to like really get the squad experience.
Yeah.
Um, played that. That was a lot of fun. The last thing I played, yeah. So Breath of the Wild. Got back on it. I got the Master Sword, dude. I pulled it out. So stoked.
Let's
And now I
go.
feel I feel like a straight up warrior. I'm headed off to go defeat another divine beast right now. I'm like I literally got to the point I was playing until like 2 a.m. I literally got to the point after pulling out the sword, I was like, all right, let's get to this one point where all I have to do is just like go and attack the divine beast, and then I'm like, I'm good. And then that'll be 3 down, 1 more to go, and then I'm off to go after Ganondorf. But somewhere along the line, I'm gonna get all the horses before I go over to Tears of the Kingdom because those transfer. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now, man.
Oh,
And
baby.
I've been grinding. It's
Yeah.
been a grind. I think
Yeah.
I'm having
Dude,
fun.
I think I saw your tweet of that saying you had the Master Sword, and I was like, dude, let's go. He's progressing.
Yeah,
But it's like one of the
I
things, dude,
was.
I feel like you still got a lot left. Like, I know you still got like a divine
Oh,
beast, but like getting the horses and stuff.
oh man, like don't get me wrong. There's so many things that I want to do with the game, in terms of like all the side quests that you can do. Because I'm running across the entire world and like map, and I'm like, dude, I want to do the side quest. I want to do this side quest. I want to blah blah blah. All these things that I want to do to get like the full experience. But I also want to finish the game so I can move on to Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So it's like I keep seeing more and more clips on like Twitter, on YouTube, and like Tears of the Kingdom looks like an engineering haven. It's like people are building ships that are like going up into space and crap. It's crazy, dude. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like trying to speed run through it by still following the main storyline, so I don't miss anything. And it's kind of a battle, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. But yeah, I don't know. It's good to make progress though. One step closer. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, sir.
TOTK.
One step closer. Every single time I come in, I told you last podcast. Every time I come in, I see the collector's edition, literally staring at me.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no, I gotta beat it. We gotta move on.
for sure, for sure. I'm glad things are
Yes,
going well
sir.
though.
Yes, sir. You know what is going well for about 12 hours until the FTC was like, just kidding.
Oh, dude, it's kind of breaking news at the time we're recording, which is interesting. We don't get this like ever, so.
No.
But yeah, we'll start off. Normally these big articles, we save it for the end, but you're here. We don't want to
gotta hit
waste
it
your
hard.
time here at M2
No,
Podcast.
let's get into
Only
it.
sometimes we don't want to waste your time, but here we go. FTC is appealing the ruling that was cleared Microsoft to buy Activision Blizzard. So before this, if you aren't aware, Microsoft actually won their court case against the FTC. The judge ruled in Microsoft's favor of acquiring Activision Blizzard, which is a huge victory for Microsoft. This was just earlier, today, Wednesday. But now, roughly like 20, 30 minutes before we started filming the podcast, there was a nice little late 7 p.m. drop from Tom Warren and Jay Peters over at The Verge. And I know Tom Warren's in the UK, so this is very late at the time he's posted it. So,
Yeah, 2 a.m. for him.
Yeah, no. Nevertheless, this article was posted. So earlier this week, a judge ruled in favor of Microsoft in its fight with the FTC. But now the FTC is not happy with that ruling. So just a little bit of other things, though. FTC says that it is appealing a recent U.S. federal court order that cleared the way for Microsoft to purchase Activision Blizzard. The FTC has filed a notice that it's appealing Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley's decision. But we won't know the regulars' full arguments till the full appeal is submitted to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Microsoft won a grueling fight with the FTC earlier this week, with a federal judge denying a preliminary injunction request from the U.S. regulator. The court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claims this particular vertical merger in this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. Judge Corley wrote in the ruling. To the contrary, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. If the preliminary injunction has been granted, it would have temporarily blocked Microsoft from closing its Activision Blizzard deal until the result of the FTC's own administrative case against the company. That separate legal challenge is still due to commence on August 2nd. Now that the FTC is choosing to appeal Judge Corley's decision, the regulator needs the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to issue an emergency stay to extend the existing temporary restraining order that is set to expire at 11:59 p.m. on Friday, July 14th. It's not clear if the appeals court will even rule before the deal deadline on July 18th, potentially leaving a door open for Microsoft to close the Activision Blizzard deal on Monday or Tuesday without a restraining order in place. Oh, there's a narrow window, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Oh, so it's just so narrow. Microsoft still needs to resolve the issues with UK's Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA, with its acquisition before it can close after the regulator blocked the deal on cloud concerns earlier this year. Both Microsoft and the CMA almost instantly announced that they had agreed to pause their legal battles to negotiate after Judge Corley's ruling on Tuesday, which is another element to this, right? Because as soon as we hear FTC is like, yeah, whatever, this is cool, that's when CMA is like, okay, maybe they see something. So let's talk. Let's actually like pause this like fight we have for now. Let's try and settle our differences, kind of thing, and see if we can move this forward. And so, yeah, so I'm trying to remember if I read this paragraph. I'm like blanking out right now. Okay, anyway.
You did not. You did. You did not.
In a surprise statement on Wednesday, I don't think I read that one. In a surprise statement on Wednesday, the CMA then warned Microsoft's opportunity to restructure its deal could, quote, lead to a new merger investigation, and that talks between a regulator and Microsoft are still in an early stage. That runs contrary to the report from CNBC that claimed Microsoft and CMA have agreed on a small how do you say that?
Divestiture?
Divestiture? I've never heard of that.
I think so. Yeah.
Two brain cells here. I've never heard of that.
I barely won.
Dude, well, they're coming with some sort of disserviture to address the cloud gaming concerns. CNBC didn't expand on what that disserviture could involve, but such a scenario will likely be specific to the UK and could involve changes to Microsoft's Xbox cloud gaming services in the region. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, Mike. This is where we're at, right? Because
there's so many ways to take this.
I mean, there really is. There's a little bit more, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point. But I mean, just pausing there for a second, I think first of all, I think FTC like kind of letting this go after seeing all the evidence and being presented everything is a very positive sign for the deal. I think it may, and probably to like some of the hopefully to some of the public's concerns, kind of ease back on like what kind of control they're going to have. Because if the FTC investigated all this, got every single point of view, and then they were like, yeah, this isn't as bad as like Sony or like some of their competitors are claiming, and it's probably a positive thing overall. I think, overall that's good. I hope that eases some concerns if people actually had any. But I think for the most part, and I know we've kind of been like advocates of Microsoft to the point of where it's like, it's not, I don't think it's that big of an issue. And Jim Ryan's probably blowing it out of proportion kind of thing.
Yeah, it seems like the whole Sony thing, they're definitely blowing it out of proportion from my point of view. I think the FTC is really trying to get this to not happen for whatever particular reason that they have. I do think it's kind of interesting that they basically did the restraining order we talked about last week?
I think so.
Or maybe it was the week before. Where FTC issued a restraining order between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, almost as if they were like, they know they're going to lose. Because after the court ruling happened, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard couldn't go ahead and just go sign the deals right then and there. Right?
Which is funny, right?
Because there was a restraining order. Yeah. And now they do have like 2 days to really make it work. But at the same time, the FTC is like, we have to appeal as soon as possible. So this has already been court battle for what, like a year and a half, 2 years, it feels like at least a year and a half.
It was announced for a year and a half, so
yeah. And I feel like if you can't make a case in a year and a half that it's not like a fair trade, a fair acquisition to the overall market, then you just suck at your job. Or
you've had a year and a half, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you had a year and a half.
It's
Yeah, and
crazy.
now they're probably going to try to extend it even further. And there was pretty much everybody except for the UK Competition and Markets Authority approved the acquisition.
Yeah.
Like Europe approved it, Japan approved it. I think China
Brazil
doesn't
approved
care.
it.
Brazil,
China
yeah,
probably don't
everybody in
care.
South America, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's like none of them really cared, except for the UK and the US. But I think the UK was always kind of like waiting on the decision from the FTC. You
Yeah,
know?
probably partially. I mean, it's also the
Yeah,
UK,
because
right? We're talking about the most
yeah,
consumer-friendly market in the world, literally. Like they want to make sure their
yeah,
consumer
that's
is done
facts.
right every time, and they always make great strides to make sure that that holds true. So it's no surprise that
Yeah,
the
they're
UK was against it, right? To a certain extent, but
oh,
I think, but yeah, I think kind of at this point, whenever US started getting involved and the FTC got involved, it's like, okay, let's see how this shakes out, and then we could probably try and because the US obviously one of the biggest markets, so it's a good gauge as to whether or not this could have
oh
poor
yeah.
implications. So yeah,
You know
I
something
agree
else that
totally.
they like something that they briefly touched on was how the judge believes that the actual acquisition will bring more people to Activision Blizzard
Yeah,
like games,
right.
and I think that's a fair assumption. Like, dude, if Diablo, if StarCraft, what's the other one? Heroes of, what's it called?
Here's the Storm, World of Warcraft.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm, World of Warcraft. Those main ones, I think I would play pretty much for the first time if it was on Game Pass.
Dude,
At
yeah.
least try it. You
Hey,
know,
could you imagine WoW on Game Pass? That'd go kind of crazy. I ain't
dude,
gonna lie.
I think it's gonna happen, bro. I
That'd
really
be
do.
insane. So it's like there's no membership, right? It's just baked in Game Pass. Now, see, I think at
Yeah.
that point though, they probably have to raise Game Pass price, but you know they're already doing it, so it wouldn't surprise me if it
Uh,
got another bump. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. Could be worth it though. You know, get into WoW, get people addicted to the game that has addicted so many. You know what I'm saying?
100%. You
It's
you know,
crazy.
before we continue on with this article, I made a tweet about this, and I think you were one of the people that like retweeted. So for you, you know, but for the listeners who don't know, with Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft, they're going to get Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk's, Spyro, which would be pretty sick to see.
True.
Skylanders, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, and Candy Crush. It's like, and that's gonna add on to Elder Scrolls, Doom, Minecraft, Fallout, Forza, Gears. What's the other big one? There's another one I'm missing. Halo. So it's like adding to all of those is massive. But as long as like Microsoft can be open to everybody, because the way cloud gaming's going and how Microsoft's leading the way, it should be available to literally anybody with a Bluetooth controller and a smart TV. You
Yeah,
know?
it's true. Yeah, it's
So
pretty crazy, man. Um,
imagine playing Diablo on over xCloud
dude,
in the living room,
you get
man.
me
That'd be
excited. You
cool.
know what I'm saying? Whenever I get that
Hmm.
new TV, Mike, you get me excited.
Samsung.
Oh,
Let's go.
dude, Samsung. Yeah, we'll continue on with the article. It's a good read, and it's the first time we've ever had a story that is still developing. So it says at the bottom, developing, and
It really is.
we'll do a first ever on the show, Mike. I'm going to refresh the page after I read the article and see if there's any additional content. You know what I'm saying? Could
I
be
bet.
interesting. EU regulators also had cloud gaming concerns, but approved the deal earlier this year, thanks to a 10-year licensing deals that Microsoft has offered to cloud gaming competitors. The CMA, who warns that Microsoft doesn't, quote, have the opportunity to put forward new remedies once a final report is issued. Microsoft's deal with the EU included a key remedy that involves a free license to consumers in EU countries that would allow them to stream via any cloud game streaming services of their choice. All current and future Activision Blizzard PC and console games that they have a license for. Cloud providers will also be offered a free license to stream these games. All eyes now turn on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, Microsoft's potential deal with the CMA in the UK. Developing story. I'm gonna hit the little refresh here. Let's see what we got. Oh my gosh.
Oh, we got an update. Do we?
Yeah, it's correction.
Correction.
there's
Okay.
been one correction. Based on the CNBC report, the article originally stated Microsoft and the CMA may have agreed to a small divestiture. CNBC has corrected its article and now says that Microsoft offered the divestiture without saying the change has been accepted. Interesting. So small correction. Anyway,
Yeah.
doesn't really change too much about the article. Oh look, you had a little screenshot. There you go. A little bit of an update. So you can see the court documents, but. Or the official appeal, I guess, rather.
So did they officially submit the appeal? I guess so, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what they said is like they've
Oh yeah, yeah,
submitted the
they did
appeal. They're
that.
trying to make it like an urgency kind of thing, so they can get it in effect as
Done
soon
as
as
quickly as
possible. Yeah,
possible.
just
Yeah,
so
because
Microsoft can't slither out of it, kind of thing.
oh, they're 100% gonna try to slither out of it.
Dude, they're hitting up CMA 24/7 right now, trying to move forward. Oh man,
Oh yeah, guaranteed. Well, I still think it's going to be a good thing for gamers. I mean, I understand people being afraid, like Microsoft's this big bad evil person or whatever, like company, but Microsoft has been doing a decent job with Xbox. I think it's been really good for xCloud gaming in their indie department, like their indie development department, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
ID at Xbox,
Like them,
baby.
yes,
Yeah,
thank you, helping out the indie developers to get started is really really cool, and hopefully they can just add more support to Activision Blizzard, who was struggling. People might forget, but they were struggling big time,
yeah.
especially
Oh
with all
yeah,
the horrible things that were going on in their offices. So hopefully a new culture, new management can clear house and take those IPs and reinvigorate them,
yeah.
maybe.
Hopefully. Yeah, speaking of ID at Xbox, I'm pretty sure there was like a little mini showcase of ID at Xbox. It was either this week or last that like I didn't mention, but
This
yeah,
week, I think
I think it
early
did
this week.
happen. Yeah, so little thing. We didn't include it, but if you want to see latest indie at Xbox, you can check out
It's
that.
usually
I'm
fire.
pretty sure IGN like kind of hosted it, so
I
you
think
can
they did
find
too.
it. Yeah. But yeah, that's the latest update. We're getting close, ladies and gentlemen, to Microsoft closing out on this deal. It really determines if FTC is going to be get this appeal in place so they can re-go to battle. And then is there? I mean, I feel like it's kind of I don't know. It could be a lost cause though. If FTC is making an appeal, I feel like it's going to be hard for them to kind of sway the decision. But we'll see. Who knows? It's the
They're
FTC.
gonna,
It's the government. Who knows, dude?
they're they're basically gonna just have to hope they get a judge that like agrees with them, I guess. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that's the whole point, but it's like some of this stuff is kind of subjective.
Yeah,
So
which kind of sucks.
yeah,
We'll see. I mean, there's always
it's a pioneering acquisition, I think.
yeah, it's true. It's not like it. So it's first kind of thing. So you think the judge is like nervous talking about this? Like, how big is this deal again? Looking at the different people, they're like,
It's
oh, okay. This is a lot
hopefully,
of weight on
hopefully
my
they
decision here. Flip. Um,
100%, yeah. Make the
yeah.
right one, Phil Spencer says.
Oh man, saying. You know, there's one studio that is making a lot of huge, heavy hitting stuff on one of their IPs that is almost a decade old. I think we should talk about Mike.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I gave this to Mike, so I was like, Mike, I want you to cover it. I feel like we're gonna find out how long this segment's gonna be after the fact.
yeah,
But
we are
oh man,
because the thing is, okay, so this let's give the people context before we get into it. Kotaku made an article about Halo's Master Chief Collection getting another great update in nine years in, and this actually kind of ties in to Terraria updates. Remember we were talking about that last episode?
we
How they
were.
just keep coming out with more and more updates. I think this might be the last update for Master Chief Collection because most of the people that are working on Master Chief are getting moved, is what I heard or
Oh
the
yeah,
rumors are saying that.
yeah,
Um, but the reason why we don't know how long this article is going to take is it just depends on if I go off on a tangent. That's really what it is. So I'm going to try to stay on topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the name of the article is Halo's Master Chief Collection is getting another great update 9 years in. 343's latest update for the collection includes 8-player firefight, about time, I think, and cut content and new games. So for people that never played Halo Master Chief Collection, it was completely busted on release. And for the last 9 years, they've been either not touching it at all for the first 2 years, and then I guess really 7 years, they've been fixing it and trying to get it to a better, more playable state, which it should have been at release, but it never was. So
yeah.
adding features that should have been in the game at start. However, there are a couple of things in here that are very new and pretty cool. So I'm excited to talk about that. So let's get into it. In an era when it seems games are killed off all the time, it's impressive to see Microsoft and 343 Industries continuing to support and update the Halo Master Chief Collection nearly a decade after its initial release. And its next update, out July 12th, which is Wednesday of this week, is adding a ton of new content to the already massive collection of classic Halo games. It's easy to forget in 2023 that the Master Chief Collection didn't launch to critical acclaim or cheering fans. In fact, its initial release in November 2014 was great, but was a giant, embarrassing mess that was criticized heavily for network issues, missing content, poor performance, and other problems. But over the years, 343 added more games to the collection. Halo Reach was uh, brought back cut content and ported over maps from Halo Online, which is a online mod, fan made mod, which is pretty cool. So now in 2023, MCC is probably the best way to enjoy the Halo franchise. It's actually better than Halo Infinite, to be honest. And this great collection is about to be even bigger and better. So let's hit some of the topics, and I guess I'll just chat about each one of them. So on July 10th, 343 revealed all the details about the upcoming update via its official website. And that's a lot, and there's a lot being added to MCC. Here are some of the highlights. So the first one is Firefight will now support up to 8 players, and you'll be able to find matches via the in-game browser. Firefight and MCC will also support join in progress, letting players hop in mid-game or return after a disconnect. So one of the problems that happen in MCC is you would get a lot of disconnects because network issues. And the problem was is if you got disconnected, that would count as you being quitting out. And when that happens, if you quit out too many times, you get banned for I think it starts at 5 minutes, then it goes to 15, and then it goes up to an hour or more. So it gets pretty brutal. And if you don't have good internet, you're in pain. And Firefight, do you know what Firefight is, Kyle?
Firefight. I mean, I've just heard about it from the announcements this week, and I think
Oh,
I
really?
it was added to Infinite, right? Am I mistaken? I also saw like a
Uh,
post talking about some 8v8 thing was added.
I think Infinite added Big Team Battle, which is 8v8, and they used
Gotcha.
old school Halo
Halo.
maps.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think there were 3 Halo 3 maps.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
So,
but I
for
don't.
the context of Firefight, you played zombies in Call of Duty, which is more famous, and
Oh,
how they're
okay.
just
Yeah.
endless hordes of
Mm.
enemies coming to
Hmm.
attack you. In Firefight, it's like that too, but it's in rounds, and they're not hordes of zombies. It's like the Covenant forces coming after you, and they get progressively
Oh.
harder and harder. And as you keep going further and further along, you get huge disadvantages knocked onto you. So a couple of disadvantages are the skulls within the game that you can collect, and it would take away your HUD. It would make it so you only get your shields back by meleeing enemies. Um, Grenades are more likely to do damage, or grenades are more likely to be thrown by enemies. And it's like when they start stacking on top of each other, it
Yeah.
becomes harder and harder and harder and harder. So that's Firefight's a load of fun, really fun. First appeared in Halo Reach. So
So
let's
it's
get
PVE essentially, kind of.
yeah, exactly. It's PvE.
That's
Yeah.
that's odd. That sounds like fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Sounds pretty fun.
and to be honest, an 8 player PvP or PvE is wild.
Yeah, I can
Really
imagine.
wild. I for the longest time they would only do 4, sometimes only 2, so it's pretty cool. Let's continue. So 343 is also adding options to Firefight that will let you recreate the 3v3 generator protection mode that was only available in Halo Reach's network beta test. That's crazy. So this is like an old school objective where there's a generator on the map and
Yeah.
you have to fight each other to destroy it while there's enemies NPC enemies from campaign
Oh, it's
on the map lighting you.
PvE. Oh my
Yeah, it's
gosh,
PvPvE. It's
that's
wild, dude. It's
crazy. Okay.
crazy. Really cool. The generator protection is just basically a generator on the map. Don't let it get destroyed. You can add shields to it and stuff like that. So let's go. After the July 12th update, Halo 4's campaign and Spartan Ops, which was highly underrated, it was like a side mission add on story within the Halo 4 campaign. Spartan Ops mode will support theater mode. 343 warns that things might be a bit wonky as this feature uses legacy code from older pre-release build of Halo 4.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, it's a bit wonky too. The whole game's been a bit wonky. So,
Well, so Spartan Ops is Spec Ops from COD. Is that what it is essentially?
kinda, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, basically, it's so Halo 4 has its own campaign, and Spartan Ops is the campaign for your personal Spartan.
Interesting. Okay.
That's the idea. So it's like they tried to add in a story mode for your character.
Huh.
So it's trying to make you more of an RPG almost. It was
Oh,
a really good idea,
I mean,
and it
it
was a
sounds
lot of
interesting.
fun.
Yeah.
Really cool. The story was just cut short, and they lost support because 343 things. Um,
Yeah.
he Alright, so Halo 3 is getting a new mode called Slayer Escalation, aka Gun Game, which is sick.
Nice, nice.
Um, AKA that mode from Counter-Strike and Call of Duty in which each time you kill someone, you get a new gun. 343 had already added this game type to other Halo games and MCC, so it's nice to see it come to Halo 3. I played that already on Halo 3, I thought. So maybe
Huh.
it's a more permanent one?
Yeah, maybe it's
No,
like is it a oh.
I've played that in Halo 2 Anniversary,
Hmm.
in Halo MCC. That's why I'm getting confused. But yeah, it was a load of
Yeah.
fun. Really cool. Let's see here. We got 343 has also added 3 pieces of equipment: invincibility, active camo, and auto turret from Halo 3's campaign into its multiplayer sandbox. These will be available in Forge and other Halo 3 custom game modes. That's kind of just a throwback, I think, for fans' sake. Try to get them into it. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, kind of game breaking if you're into comp stuff, but for casuals and you're trying to have a good time, yeah, more content makes it good. I can't even say this one. So the Acrophobia skull
Yeah, that's
can
it.
be activated in Halo Combat Evolved. This in-game multiplayer, which is already available in other Halo games and MCC, lets players fly around freely in single player. Perfect for people looking to explore for Easter eggs or wanting to experience the original campaign in a brand new way. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah,
That's
sounds
kind of
pretty sick.
shocking to me. That's pretty cool.
No clip, baby.
So,
Let's go.
yes, sir. There are some cool things in the next little end topic, and this is kind of a throwback to old school Halo fans, which this is what had me excited and optimistic.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
the cut content from Halo's past is coming to MCC on PC. So I'll just read these 2 paragraphs and give you guys some context after. But basically, finally, a ton of cut content from Halo and Halo 2 is being added to the MCC on PC via mods. 343 worked alongside modders for the past year to help unearth and re-implement all kinds of cut content from these classic Bungie era Halo titles, including cut enemies, weapons, vehicles, and maps. 343 published a separate blog post going into more detail about all the cut stuff being added back into the game and how that process worked, which you should definitely check out if you care about that kind of stuff. So the cool thing is there's a massive Halo modding community. The version of Halo 2 that I play on PC, Halo Cartographer, Halo 2 Project Cartographer, is a Halo Vista mod, a Halo 2 Vista mod. And it's a mod to make it as similar as possible to the original classic Xbox version of Halo 2. And there are developers there where they talk about how there are characters and weapons and all this other stuff in the game that never got finished, but it's buried deep within the code. Because for people that didn't know, Halo CE was basically made in 9 months. Halo 2 is made in about 18 months, a year and a half. So they never really got an opportunity to clean up the code, which is why both games are a buggy fueled mess. Why like button glitches exist, why you can do super bounces, why you can do nade pocket reloads and all this other types of stuff. That's the reason why they just never cleaned up the code to make it efficient. They're just trying to ship it
That's
out the door.
that is
Yeah,
crazy. So a lot of
yeah,
what makes Halo so unique and like so kind of
because it's a
um
rushed project with
instrumental,
a
I would say,
fan.
yeah. Like it's
Yeah, it's
all
a
because they
rushed
just didn't
project.
have time. That's I
A
never knew
hundred
that. That's
percent.
crazy.
Yeah, it's they rushed it so quickly that they actually lost the Halo 2 source code. So, like, the reason why you'll never be able to play Halo 2 the way Halo 2 originally came out is because they don't have the source code to put it on PC or on MCC, on any other console. The only way you can play classic original Halo 2 is you have to load up your Xbox on an original Xbox, Halo 2, Halo 2 Classic, and then you also have to do extra updates. And you have to mod your software on your Xbox to download the only Xbox Live update that you could have to finish the game. It's like
What?
jumping through so many hoops, but it's one of the reasons why like Halo 2 is so good. It's so good because it's rushed, it's hard as hell. Like the campaign's by far the hardest one. The level of difficulty in multiplayer is like a perfect balance between teamwork and individual skill. It's just fascinating overall. I could do a whole
Yeah.
dissertation on it. As you
Oh
said, you're
man.
like, is this gonna last 30 minutes? I don't know. But
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Mike's getting his PhD in 343 history. So, I
More
mean,
Bungie, I think.
but yeah,
Than
that's actually you're right. Um, dude, that's interesting. So you're telling me if a game has imperfections and it has uniqueness, and
yes.
like it doesn't have to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like no game has to be perfect, but
We've how
especially
many
in
times have
the
we talked about it?
I mean, dude, in the
Go
day,
ahead.
I mean, yeah, true. In the day of like multiplayer gaming, though, there's so much rushed out garbage. But like, why? So why? I have a question for you. Why do you think Halo 2 kind of withstood that, or was different from what it is today in terms of like multiplayer games that are just released that are broken? Like, do you think it's maybe just like the technology that we have today is so far advanced that people just don't fully understand it, or they can't implement it correctly, or what do you think? What do you
Hmm.
think that is? Why do you think that is?
Halo 2. Okay, so Halo 2, the way Halo became successful initially is the story. That's really what it was.
Yeah,
So like the overall campaign arc, the building of Halo CE, which was basically a horror game, with like the flood being terrifying, and you're facing aliens. They're speaking a different language. There's this whole thing about a little bit of a religious arc behind it, which really gravitates towards a Western audience. I think that really like brought people in, and then the overall multiplayer just being a system link game on the flagship. It was the flagship game for the Microsoft Xbox console, which already gave it like a huge stature, right? I think what really made Halo 2 successful is they built upon the first game's campaign, and they really gave you two different perspectives. They let you be an alien, you'd be on the other side, and you'd have this kind of like like angel demon kind of prerogative between two different opposing views, and then they eventually have like a really good arc to come together and understanding, to where it's just like it's an old classic story between two enemies that become friends, right?
yeah,
And I think that really related with people. But then you add that into how much content was released on day one for Xbox Live. It's like they had something like 8, maybe 10 different playlists that were just slammed with people. Custom games was amazing. They had a friends list integrated into the game, which was the first time I had ever seen that ever. Before, you had to, in order to use your friends list, you had to go to your Xbox dashboard. So, and
yeah,
then you also had like, this is the first time you ever got the experience of uh, party chat and proximity chat. So it was very, very new. And I think that's why everything just popped off. And not only that, but it was just a fun game, man. Even
yeah,
though how broken it was still fun.
yeah.
And they always release more and more content, more maps. It was full of content.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably right place, right time kind of thing. I think for the most part.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
but also too, could that be a lesson like devs should like work on if they focus on single player and kind of make the multiplayer kind of secondary? Could that potentially bring people in and deal with like maybe not the best multiplayer, but like the story is just out of this world. So like kind of brings people in, builds a community kind of thing.
I think you need to have a perfect balance between both. I think you can't be successful with the multiplayer only game without a solid campaign. There are exceptions, like I think that Fortnite is probably the number one exception to that rule, being like the battle royale.
Yeah.
Um, but if you look at games like Call of Duty, some people before they even talk about the multiplayer, they talk about their favorite games in the Call of Duty franchise, and it's usually based on the campaign. Like the best
Yeah.
campaign, in my opinion, is Modern Warfare 2, the first one.
True.
That
True.
that's insane. When you go into the airport and you just start shooting, you know what I'm talking
Yeah, bro.
about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that blew me away. Like Call of Duty 3, or was it 2? I got it somewhere laying around here. When you storm the beaches of Normandy, it's like,
That's
bro, that's gonna
wild,
stick with
yeah.
me like forever.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Dude, yeah.
So you need that experience, but then you need the continual support and engagement from your audience that you solidified.
Yeah.
And that's what multiplayer needs to be.
It's a good point, dude. Bro, you get me on a tangent about my favorite COD campaign too, dude. Black Ops 1, never forget it. I'll
Yeah.
never forget it, bro.
I know.
The numbers, Mason, you know?
Oh my
Never
god.
forget.
I'm so glad you got my reference way back. What was that? 2 years ago I sent you. I was like, "Can you just like do a couple edits with this GIF?" The
Dude.
numbers basin.
Oh man, that's so funny. Dude, even at work, like one of my coworkers was joking about that the other day, and I got the biggest kick out of it because we were just like dealing with the client stuff, and it's like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
and we're both gamers, so like, I don't know, it hit. It was
What do they
funny.
mean?
What are the numbers basing? Oh man, dude, yeah,
Yeah, dude.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like we can go on and on about this. I think I think it's interesting. I don't know, just seeing like the different just seeing kind of the history of it, and just hearing about kind of why it was successful. Another so for those listening, I'll even give you I'll give you a recommendation. If you ever have spare time at all, you should go and watch Xbox's docuseries on the console generations and how they
Yeah.
originally, and they have an entire episode in this docuseries dedicated to why the Red Ring of Death existed. And it's around the same time that Halo 3 launched. And so they talk about like Xbox, Halo, and Halo 2 and how big that franchise was leading into the 360. And then
So crazy.
how they rushed the 360 and it ended up being the worst like release ever because like just there was a lot of corners they had to cut, and so like you get all these consoles that are just defective, and so they have to go back, fix them, and it's like they lost billions of dollars because they had to fix these consoles. And it's like, and the executives talking about how tense those meetings were with like upper management, just talking about like, yeah, we just launched millions of defective consoles. And so yeah, it's really interesting. I recommend you go and watch that docuseries that Microsoft did, because it gives you an insight into that era, and they talk a lot about Halo and why it was such a pinnacle franchise for Microsoft. So that's my recommended reading / viewing. So you should go watch it.
I think that's fair.
I got
Yeah,
sucked. I got
I've
sucked
seen
into
it.
a sync. I was like in the rabbit hole like a couple months ago on that stuff. It was interesting. So. Oh, Mike, Halo. We didn't talk about Infinite, but it's not a part of the article, so we ain't gonna discuss it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't really want to talk about Infinite, man. I briefly mentioned it at the start of our podcast about what I tried to do. I tried to play, it didn't work. But MCC, the new updates out. I wonder if I have presets on my Xbox app that downloads it automatically. So I'm gonna see if that's actually working right now. But all that to really say, man, it's like I'm glad to see that it's getting the support and love it deserves. I hate how long it took, but hey,
Yeah.
whatever. Now they just need to add an anti-cheat because everybody on there seems to be cheating now.
Yeah, that's how it goes for. I mean, it's easy anti-cheat, right?
Yeah, but it's barely working.
That's how a lot of it
I
goes.
run into cheaters regularly. I've seen people streaming blatantly cheating. It's like, dude, I've been playing
wild.
Halo for like 20 years at this point. I know that's not legit. I know that's not legit.
Yeah, it's way too obvious, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
But that's all I got in terms of Halo. But you know what's really cool is one of your favorite studios.
True.
In the next article.
Thank you for the insight, Mike. That's a good article. Yeah. So interesting development out of Naughty Dog. You know what I'll say? It's my favorite Sony first party developer. Dude, their games are just fantastic. We're talking about Jack and Dexter. We're talking Uncharted. We're talking Last of Us. Bangers. You know what I'm saying? That TV show was really good for Last of Us. You know what I'm saying?
It was fire.
So yeah. Anyways, huge change though coming out of the staff at Naughty Dog. The co-president is going to be retiring after 25 years at the studio, and it's not Neil Druckmann. It's the other president.
Yeah.
I read this and I was like, wait, Neil Druckmann's leaving? What? But no, that's not the case. Evan Wells is actually the co-president. Announced his retirement from the studio. After 25 years at Naughty Dog, I wanted to share with all of you that I've decided to retire at the end of this year. Reads a message from Wells that was sent to Naughty Dog staff and then posted on the studio's website. Wells started his career at Sega, working on Toe Jam and Earl. He'd go on to join Naughty Dog in the late 90s, eventually rising to the top of the studio. Wells oversaw Naughty Dog's ascent from platformer developer to Sony's crown jewel in its first party lineup. I couldn't be more confident in Neil's ability to carry on running the studio. It's the right time for me to provide the opportunity for him and the others on the studio leadership team to steer the studio into a successful future. Said changes to the studio leadership team were also detailed in the blog post by co-president Neil Druckmann. Druckmann and Wells will remain co-presidents until Wells' departure later this year. Druckmann retains his role as head of creative. And then there's a bunch of names. Probably gonna, at least one of them I'm gonna mess up. Eric Pangilinan.
Pangilinan?
Pangilinan?
It's a tough one.
Sorry, Eric.
Ben Chillin, man?
Benjamin. Oh my gosh. And Jeremy Yates joins the studio's leadership team as co-heads of the various arts department at the studio, while Anthony Newman will become head of production and design. Um, Eric, I'm just gonna say his first name, has worked at the studio for over 25 years, eventually ascending to art director. Yates served as the lead animator on several Uncharted titles. Anthony Newman is best known for his work as the code game director of Last of Us Part 2. Wells' farewell message continued by stating, quote, "I couldn't be more excited about our current projects, and not getting to see those games to completion is going to be hard. But we've never had a stronger team in place to ensure that we will deliver them in the way that will set the industry standards and exceed all expectations." So, I saw a lot of articles around this kind of saying, I think there was kind of some apprehension, a little bit of kind of, nervous energy around like, oh, like one of the co-presidents leaving. Cause like every time I mean, Mike, you know this, every time you see a huge kind of upper part of the studio actually leave, I mean, the first thing that, like, some of the first things that comes to my head, like, albeit are probably like more on the negative side of like, okay, what's going on that caused them to leave? Like, is there, is there
True.
some friction? Like, is there something there? I mean, I don't know. Being at a studio for 25 years,
It's a
it's
long
one of
time,
those
man.
things, man. Like, it's a long time. He put in those hours, and it sounds like, and it almost seems like he's going to retire. So I mean, it's, he's probably just. I mean, they've done very well. Let's just say that. So he certainly could if he wanted to. So I mean, if he wants to retire, I mean, why not? Um, and also too, I mean, it's one of those things. I think any position where it's like if you're seeking retirement, and and I mean, he's probably relatively young, I would assume too. He's not like not in his 60s, that's for sure. So it's interesting to see the early retirement, but yeah, it also makes you wonder, like, if it's like, I guess, like, maybe to a certain extent he just wasn't enjoying it anymore, because I feel like that's the only reason you would leave a position like this, where it's, you're working at a game studio, and I mean, you're putting out these fantastic titles. So I think there could be a lot of speculation behind this, but I mean, I don't know, Mike. What do you think? Because I think this is pretty much like, it seems like he's just kind of ready to just call it.
Yeah, I think he's just tired, man. He's probably made plenty of money being that high up for that long, 25 years as a co-president. That's kind
Yeah,
of crazy, dude. So he made enough money. He's probably got it all situated fine. And what? I think he's like 50 something years old.
yeah, I'm
So,
sure.
I mean, plenty of time. If you got kids, if you got family, you want to travel, you want to do what you want to do with your life, you're going to be fine. And maybe it's just time for him to step away, let somebody else take over. Right now, I'm looking at a little bit of a bio that he has on the interwebs. He was employed by Naughty Dog in 1998, and he actually became the company co-president in 2005. So he's been a part of this company for a long time, man.
Yeah,
He's been with them since they basically started. And maybe he's just tired. Maybe he wants
yeah,
to move on. That's a long time to be working at a company for that long. Um, I'm sure he's happy. Gotta be.
yeah. Yeah, you think he hit that pension, Mike? So it's like, yo, it's
Yeah.
my time. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even think he needs it, right? I
Probably
don't think he
not.
needs the pension. He's probably just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like whatever. I've done my work. I mean,
yeah, it's
hey,
probably just gonna be a massive change for him though.
oh yeah,
His
yeah, I'm
blog
sure.
post actually on the Naughty Dog website is it's pretty emotional. He has a couple of pictures from him at gaming conventions with his dog behind the computer and like hanging out with people that work with the company and like dressed up as Crash Bandicoot. It's like that's one of his characters,
Yeah,
basically.
right. It's crazy,
It's
man.
it's kind of wild. So who knows? Maybe like after a while, man, 25 years of doing the same thing, you get kind of bored, don't you? You want to
Yeah,
move
I mean,
on.
it's it's interesting too to hear these climbs. I know it was another article I read talking about kind of their origin stories. And I know particularly for Neil Druckmann, he was pretty sure he was just a programmer on like one of the Jack and Dexter games when he joined, and now he's co-president. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to hear how he climbed the ladder like that, because it's not easy, just going from a regular programmer
Oh
to
no.
all of a sudden I'm co-president of the entire studio. Like, it's an interesting
100%,
path,
yeah.
right? So I don't know. It's something I would love to pick his brain on that to see kind of how that climb happened and the kind of work that it took. But yeah, it seems like both of them kind of they started off really early at the studio, and then they just kind of climbed their way up. So It's crazy though, man. It's one of the most well-respected studios in the game, I think, regardless if it's, PlayStation exclusive. They just put out solid games that are story-driven
It's
and story
all
first
fire.
kind of thing. So,
Like all fire.
yeah, and just technological marvels on a Sony PlayStation, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
and each system, it's like they push them to the limits. And it's like Last of Us Part 2 on PlayStation 4. It was literally the swan song before PS5 came out, and dude,
it
it's
was.
like it looked beautiful on a PlayStation 4. Like it was insane. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'll be curious to see, when I know there's rumors that Last of Us Part 3 is happening, so I'll be curious to see how that game goes, or like how the next kind of, if they're delving into new IP, what that's gonna look like. And I'm hoping Naughty Dog can keep the streak up, even though they're losing a pretty big team member. So it'll be interesting to see in the future. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this is definitely a loss for Naughty Dog, but it's also a total win for Evan.
I
So
mean, yeah, yeah, for
just
sure.
retire, go off
Yeah,
into
dude.
sunset.
For real, man. And who knows? There's all these people, whether it's tech or gaming. I feel like a lot of them they'll go on like some board of directors or something like that. Like they're not like truly done. Like they'll find some way to kind of do it where it's like they're only there like maybe 5% of the year, just giving like advice and ideas. But
Oh yeah, like a
it's
consultant. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
that's that's the job you want to be, want to
It's
have.
yeah. That's the thing. Well, I mean, that's the thing, Mike. That's like kind of the dream, right? It's like you put in all those like years, and then it's like you get to a point where it's just like you're just chilling. You don't really,
Oh
you
yeah,
put in your hours, and you're kind of just doing your thing.
yeah. You're just completely crushing it, and all you have to do now is just answer the phone, and you get paid a bunch
Oh,
because you're
Mike,
like experienced.
that's the dream right there. I can't lie. You know what I'm saying? One day, one day, hopefully, if I'm fortunate
We'll get
enough,
there, dude.
we'll get there. You know, kind of like we'll get to this last article. It's about that time. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, that was actually pretty sick. This last article, we've actually mentioned something somewhat similar that PlayStation's been doing, and I think I talked about it too. Dude, I talked about it like 3 years ago on the podcast when it was just me. I had like when I was out here just rambling by myself. Thanks for joining me, Kyle. Now I don't sound insane. Um, but basically, what it's about is this is coming from The Verge. This is Ash Parrish, awesome name. Uh, so Xbox will now let you clip and report audio to clean up Call of Duty lobbies. I think that's a clickbaity article. The
Yeah, a little
clean up
bit.
Call of
There's more
Duty.
to it, but yeah, they definitely
Yeah,
threw
clean,
COD in there to.
100%. I think what they're tagging on to, and I hope this article actually mentions it, is PlayStation originally started this, and it was about like game voice messages that you would get. And in the game itself, within the lobbies, if you were saying things inappropriately, you could report somebody. And then the voice message, like if you reported foul language or something, or like something offensive, then the clip would be saved and then sent and filed with the report by somebody else. And then somebody would eventually like investigate to see how egregious it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. So Xbox is apparently doing that now too. Let's get into it. So clips can be captured in the moment, then submitted later. So Xbox is adding reactive voice chat moderation, rolling out today to Xbox Insiders. Xbox Insiders is like the beta testing group,
yeah.
so you can sign up for it as long as you have like a gold account. Um, so the new reporting feature will allow players to capture and submit 60-second audio clips of any inappropriate voice chat messages, which will then be reviewed by the Xbox safety team. In an interview with The Verge, Xbox GM of Trust and Safety, Kim Coons, I think is it Coons?
I don't know if it's Coons or Kunez. I don't know. I'm thinking Mila Kunez, but I don't know.
If it's Kunez, I think it would be like an asterisk or
Yeah,
something.
true, true. Yeah.
I don't know. Kunez sounds better. Said that voice chat moderation represented the next step in Xbox holistic approach to ensure player safety. And let's go by her first name. Trust and Safety, Kim. If a player experiences safety in our community that they don't like and they don't want to report that to us, they have a variety of different options for doing that. Oh, and they want to report it. Sorry. We do moderation proactively on text, on images, and videos, and launching reactive voice moderation is about that audio portion of it. I've noticed they've actually done some moderation. We talked about this as well. The bot spam in the Xbox game chats and party
Yeah.
chats, they're
Oh yeah.
starting to disappear. And Xbox, how many did they deleted like hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of bots
It
at
was
one
bad.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this just adds on to it, I think. This new feature was designed to be as minimally invasive as possible so players can capture and report offending clips without disrupting gameplay. If you hear something and want to report it, you can capture it in the moment, then submit your report later. Kunez was explicit in that Xbox is not actively listening to nor storing player voice chats. Recording is strictly done through the reporting functionality, and it's only available for moderation purposes. So it's not something that the player can save or share separately from that reporting mechanism to us. The clips captured for moderation are also deleted 24 hours after capture. So Kunes said Xbox will remind you to submit your report before the deletion. Xbox is also expanding its notification system to inform players on what action Xbox took and why. Kunaz said that the reported clips will be reviewed by human moderations, not an algorithm, and that context will be important to how Xbox will make moderation decisions. Players will have the ability to submit additional text with the report to provide context, and after moderation decisions are made, affected players will have the ability to submit an appeal. Pretty interesting. Do you
Very
believe that they're
interesting.
not listening to you, man?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? Especially in the day of AI and who knows what all they're listening to. I mean, it's one of those things that, I don't know, personally for me, I try to live my life of that, like, there's probably a lot of things listening. So just
Oh
kind
yeah,
of,
our phones right now.
especially on the internet, yeah, especially like around the internet, if I'm playing games, I don't personally engage in any, like, anything like that. In
Yeah,
any, like, you know, crazy stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I
ban
think,
worthy.
right. I mean, and especially nowadays in games too. Like if you're playing like COD, like who knows how many people on your team and the other team are like streaming too. So like if you're talking
Oh,
like
that's
crap
a
in voice, it's
fact,
not
dude.
like it's. I mean, you're probably getting captured somewhere, right?
A
Um.
100%, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, also for what it sounds like too, it's very much they are very much reliant on people actually reporting. So obviously it's not listening to you in the moment. So I mean, it's kind of like a thing of I mean, these lobbies can still be toxic if no one reports it or like no one does anything. So they're still kind of it's still very reliant on the user, which I guess I think that's kind of their thing of like they want to keep privacy and they want to keep some kind of they want to make the players liable to report it, which I mean I think is fine. I think that's fine. I don't think there's any reason to like. I think it would be. I think a lot of people would be like upset and confused if it was kind of like, oh, we're just recording you at all times. Like by the way, so it's kind of just you're never safe kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I can respect Xbox's approach to that. Um, I think more personally, like I would love, dude, like is Xbox hiring part time to like moderate some of the stuff? I would love to just like get some of these messages and just be the one
Ooh,
like actually filing some of the reports. I think it'd be funny. I feel like
possibly.
yeah, there's some job openings. I think it'd be. I'd be curious to see how many people they'd be willing to hire just to deal with the voice chat moderation because there would probably be a lot of people jumping at that opportunity to like do some of that.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really good point.
Yeah, I mean,
Start hearing some horrific things
that's what I'm saying. Like,
or hilarious things.
yeah, they say it's reviewed by human moderators, so it makes you wonder if they're gonna like hire for some of this position because there's probably gonna be a lot
They
of
got it.
reports, so
Oh
they're gonna
yeah.
need a
I
lot of
think
people.
that's what I was gonna just tie into. I think the system is probably gonna function similar to how the Xbox record that system works, except there's
Yeah,
gonna be actual voice chat now. And I think that's interesting. I also think that having it so it only lasts 24 hours from the recording and is actually going to be a person literally listening to it to determine, basically be the judge of
right,
it,
yeah,
the judge and executioner kind of thing, um, and making those decisions. It's going to cost Microsoft a lot of money to do that.
yeah,
Well, Xbox a lot of money to do that. So I think it's like a balance, right? You don't want to have all these like clips and things saved on a server somewhere,
right, yeah,
but you also want to moderate to make it a safe experience for any ordinary kid that might be just trying to play Fortnite or
yeah,
something, and then somebody just screams at them
yeah,
and says horrific things,
yeah.
or vice versa.
It's
Hold
true,
people
yeah,
accountable.
yeah. I
Quit
mean,
acting like animals.
that's what I'm saying, man. I think from Xbox's point of view too, there's a decent amount of R&D that had to go. That's not only to developing the system
Oh,
to capture voice, but also
oh yeah,
like making it simplistic for the user to report it, so it's not overly complicated. And then
yeah.
having a system in place on the back end for moderators to listen to this and then have some sort of action in place, whether it goes to further review or they just ban them right there, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
There's a lot of power there. So there's probably from end to end, there's probably a lot that went into this, and I feel like it's probably why we're not seeing anything like this until now, is because it probably took a while for them to effectively develop
Yeah,
something that was that made sense. So I mean, yeah, I mean it's a step in the right direction too. I think to cleaning up some of the people on Xbox, but I mean at the same time, I think it's like, as much as I hate to say it, I think it's kind of an unfortunate reality. There's always going to be like bad actors kind of thing. There's always going to
oh
be,
yeah, man.
I mean, there's always going to be that. So it's like you really can't like overly avoid it. But yeah, and there's probably a lot of people that are still going to do their thing, kind of, but it's certainly this is way better than just the way it is now and doing nothing. So kudos to Xbox for trying to kind of regulate things to the best of their ability without trying to encroach on privacy and stuff like that.
True.
So yeah,
Yeah, let's give some people a little bit more context to wrap up the article. This is going to be a review and appeals process, says Kunez, and the program is only going to be available for Xbox insiders in English language markets, so U.S., Canada, Great Britain, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. And basically, what they're going to do is they're going to put it out to the Xbox insiders, get some feedback where they can, and then try to make decisions on whether or not it's viable, whether they should roll it out, what needs to be finalized before it's rolled out, stuff like that. So it's gonna be a while before it happens, but games like Overwatch 2, Valorant already have these features, and Sony talked about doing it in 2020. So
yeah. I was like,
it was
this
2020. Holy
This
smokes.
this is what I'm saying by like this is one
Oh,
avenue Sony actually had a slight edge on compared to
dude, that's
Microsoft,
the.
right?
I remember we might need to go back. I torched Sony over it because they actually said they were always listening.
Yeah, there
Like,
was some weird thing like that,
yeah,
yeah.
that was the big one that they got. Like, I don't remember if he. I don't even know if they rolled it out, but I do know for a fact they were just like, yeah, we're always going to be listening to hold people accountable. I'm just like, Call of Duty is about to get nuked. It's
Yeah, I
gonna be
mean,
done.
yeah. It's gonna be bad. Yeah, it was like party
Screaming
chats
into your
too. It's
stupid,
like, yeah, we're
yeah,
we're pretty much just recording
party
the party
chats,
chats. Like
game chats,
yeah.
like they were recording everything.
Yeah.
So, and they were saving it too. It seems like, hey, report it so we can get this off our servers because like data costs money.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
probably what Microsoft
yeah, I
is
mean,
over here
not only
saying.
does data cost money, but also, legal action costs money. So if people are like
That's a
trying
big
to
fact.
like sue for like defamation or something, it's like they
Hmm.
would have, millions of dollars in lawsuits and stuff. So yeah, it's better for everyone, I think, if they just, let's listen to it, report it, and then just can it. There's no reason in
Yeah.
saying it.
Yeah, Xbox is basically trying to do the correct thing from a business standpoint. They want to be inclusive, they want to be open for and welcoming for everyone to play games. And I
Yeah.
think that's a testament to how many females in general are like becoming more content creators, more streamers in the gaming space.
Yeah.
So I like before, dude, when I first started gaming, no females were ever
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
So
that's true. Yeah.
it was
It's just a
ruthless
fact of
back
it.
then, but
Yeah,
now
man.
it's like it's coming on, man. I'm seeing people play like people don't think they're like women, females. Some people that are like they don't realize they're playing games, but they are. You know, like mobile
Yeah.
games, for instance, like playing
Right.
Candy
Yeah.
Crush. That's a
Yeah.
video game, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Dude.
it? Farmville was the big popular one.
Oh,
Uh,
facts.
yeah,
Yeah.
video
Dude,
games.
last time I was like seriously playing Valorant, the amount of amount of lobbies where I ran into like women, it was, I mean, it was kind of insane. I was like, I was like, this is like, because I'm so used to like back in the day, like you're saying, it's like you just never ran into women like when you were playing games. It's kind of, or like any girls, right? Like you just never ran into that, right? It was always like just dudes. So um and
Oh
it was
yeah,
like
dude.
it was a unicorn whenever you actually like it was so kind of out of place. So yeah, the landscape's definitely changed a lot. And yeah, I'm here for it, I think with that too, it's kind of we're in the direction now of like we have the technology to kind of moderate and see if we can, kind of combat some of this some of the ignorance, I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh
So
yeah.
so yeah, exciting times, Mike, More allowing more people to enjoy games, more inclusivity. That's what it's all about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. I
Like
mean, we
Xbox.
even talked about like accessibility going on in Forza,
Yeah.
where people that are blind are playing now.
I know. And they're able to
Like,
effectively
dude,
play. It's crazy, man.
it's
Like
so cool. It's so cool.
a
And I think
racing game.
Xbox is really trying to do that.
Yeah, it just blows my mind too, because like a racing game where visuals is literally everything. Like, I mean, most video games, yeah, obviously sight's a huge component. But like
Yeah.
racing, it's like I don't know, the fact that they're able to adapt that, to like sound only. It's kind of crazy. So, dude, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Good time to be a gamer. You know what I'm saying? See what Unreal Engine
We
5
say
does, dude.
that's a fact, dude. Unreal Engine 5. I'm gonna lose my mind when that one comes out.
Oh
All
man.
right, bro. I mean, I think that's really it for this article. It's pretty cool that we got breaking news about the FTC. I was very excited to just be like, it finally happened.
I know.
Microsoft's buying Activision Blizzard, and now they're like, nah,
But
we're
now
not doing
FTC
that.
is really trying to stop it. So
Yeah, I think it's still gonna go through. I think
yeah.
it's basically a done deal at this point. Unless like, yeah, you can pay off a judge, and I feel like you can do that in America. Who knows?
I don't
So
know. Microsoft got a lot of money,
Microsoft
but then
got
the
more.
government,
They got more.
the
Dude,
government
they
makes
got
the
more
money. So
money.
you know what I'm saying? Like they
That's
make the
true.
rules. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's
That's a fact.
uh,
But I feel like this week was pretty good. We actually dropped one of our articles, and I think it was at my recommendation, wasn't it? It's like
yeah,
we'll
it's
talk
about
about
that.
it next time. Oh yeah, it's about the classic
Maybe
games.
we may hit it next week.
Classic
Depends on what the
games.
news cycle's looking like mid-July. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get into that next time. But I guess without further ado, do you have anything to tell the people other than the usual?
No, I nothing else really. Been trying to play some more BattleBit this week. That's my goal. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm gonna
dude,
do the same.
it's what is it? I need to
Hit me up.
finish. I need to. Yeah,
You gotta get
true,
Sedge.
true. I
You
need
gotta
to.
get Sedge.
I
Hey,
need
Boomer.
also, dude. What's today? 12th? The
It
20th,
is.
Mike. The 20th, 21st.
Yeah.
It's the 20th or 21st. Guess what comes out?
Oh, hold
What
on.
comes out?
Let me go. Thanks. Let me go to the Discord and
Nice
check
little
my
game.
calendar.
A nice little game. You know what I'm saying? Comes out next week, or a little expansion
Uh
comes out next week, I should say.
oh, Sea of Thieves, The Legend
Yeah,
of Monkey Island.
yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
I'm only 2 weeks away from the birthday. Next week is
Yeah, you,
Sea of Thieves. So
you know what else is coming out July 21st?
what's that?
Pikmin 4.
Oh shoot!
Oh
Where's
shoot!
my Nintendogs at? You know what I'm saying?
My Nintendogs, dude.
You remember Nintendogs?
I love you, dude.
Oh,
Kill me.
dude. It's crazy out here.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Well, I feel like we've been doing good with like trying to wrap up around an hour.
yeah,
So
true.
let's let the people go. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Go in the descriptions. We have timestamps for everything that we covered. If you got to the end, you're just like, where are the timestamps at? They're down there. Along with every single article that we've covered, the bit.ly links. Check them. Read them yourself if you want to. It's up to you guys. We just appreciate the support, appreciate the love, and appreciate Kyle for making awesome shorts and they're popping off on YouTube. Am I right, dude?
I mean, am I right? I'm not gonna toot my own horn or anything, but
They are fire. You actually texted me and you're like, I'm fired up, gassing yourself up. I'm like, dude, you're
1
a
out of
god.
10, Mike. 1 out of 10. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta definitely steal your emotes. But anyways, we'll talk about that after. Let's let them go. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. The M2 Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Nancy. Co-host Kyle Heath. Take it easy. See ya.
Bye, everyone.